Good morning, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. It's Thursday, June 5th, 2025, and this is your AM update. A Biden-appointed judge blocks the removal of the Boulder, Colorado terror suspect's family.
They have the audacity to kidnap our neighbors and then to shoot us with tear gas when we decline to consent.
A chaotic scene in Minneapolis as protesters riot against what they thought was an immigration raid, but was actually a criminal investigation.
The bill must pass. He can't fail. Failure's not an option, or the Trump presidency is in huge trouble.
President Trump's big, beautiful bill facing criticism from Elon Musk as it works its way through the Senate. An alleged victim of Sean Diddy Combs testifies about the time she was allegedly dangled over a 17-story balcony by the enraged mogul. And George Clooney attempts to impart some wisdom. All that and more coming up in just a moment on your AM update. Tax day may have passed, but for millions of Americans, the real trouble is just beginning. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, the IRS is ramping up enforcement, and every day you wait might make things worse. With over 5,000 new tax liens filed daily and tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, you don't want to mess around, okay? The good news is there's still time for Tax Network USA to help. Self-employed or a business owner, even if your books are a mess, they've got it covered. Tax Network USA specializes in cleaning up financial chaos and getting you back on track fast. Even after the deadline, it's not too late to regain control. Your consultation is completely free, and acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies before they escalate. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Megyn. You may have missed April 15th, but you haven't run out of options. Let Tax Network USA help before the IRS makes the next move. On Wednesday evening, a Biden-appointed judge in Colorado blocking the Trump administration from deporting the wife and 5 children of Boulder terror suspect Mohammed Soliman, finding that, quote, deportation without process could work irreparable harm on them. Soliman facing 1 federal hate crime charge and multiple state charges for burning pro-Israel gatherers with Molotov cocktails. The suspect seen on video shouting, "Free Palestine," as he launched the incendiary devices at a crowd of largely elderly people, injuring 15, 2 of whom are still in the hospital as of Wednesday evening. On Tuesday, DHS taking the family into custody. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem on Wednesday providing details on the family, the 41-year-old wife, 18-year-old daughter, 2 minor sons and 2 minor daughters, all Egyptian citizens, were granted entry to the United States on August 27, 2022. Soliman claimed his wife and children as dependents on his asylum application. Under the Biden administration, Soliman was given a work permit, which expired in March of this year. At that point, the entire family was here illegally and could have been deported. Then their patriarch set a group of Americans on fire. As Charles C.W. Cook put it on National Review, quote, if one discovers that a member of a family here illegally has been puttering around committing jihad, the only additional question to answer is whether that family's deportation ought to be carried out via a circus cannon. DHS is also currently investigating whether anyone in the family had prior knowledge of the attack. The next hearing for the family is set for Friday, June 13th. An appeal is likely. New information on the federal law enforcement action spurring a riot in the streets of South Minneapolis. On Tuesday, hundreds of protesters turning out in response to what they incorrectly believed to be an immigration raid. Rioters creating a human shield, attempting to block agents and vehicles from multiple federal agencies and local police, some dumping garbage bins into the street, throwing tires in front of armored vehicles, graffitiing the vehicles with Nazi and Don't Come Back, clashing with police and even getting physically aggressive with them, some agents deploying pepper spray to control the crowd. Independent reporter Nick Shirley capturing the scene.
They come out here, they have the audacity to kidnap our neighbors and then to shoot us with tear gas when we decline to consent. Fuck them!
Whole street! Our street! Whole street! Our street! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Fucking pigs! You guys are fucking animals! We don't need any of you! You fascists!
My Mexican brothers and sisters have as much as right as I do to these lands! Fuck the feds! Fuck the feds!
On Wednesday, ICE revealing the operation conducted on the Las Cuatro Milpas taco restaurant was not an immigration enforcement action, but rather a criminal investigation relating to drugs and money laundering. No arrests were made in connection with the investigation. Minneapolis police report 2 men were taken into custody for allegedly assaulting an officer. The search warrants relating to the investigation remain under seal, ICE declining to share details with us because the investigation is ongoing. The operation, led by Homeland Security Investigations, a division of ICE probing cross-border crimes, including drug trafficking and money laundering, involving an alphabet soup of federal agencies as well as local police. Minnesota authorities rushing to emphasize the action in the sanctuary city did not involve any immigration enforcement. A statement from the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office reading, "We, quote, partnered with federal agencies on a criminal investigation and the execution of multiple search warrants. Our role in the incident today was solely focused on that. This incident was not related to any immigration enforcement. We have no involvement in civil immigration." Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey posting on X, quote, "It's not surprising that these reports of federal law enforcement agents in South Minneapolis were met with panic and confusion. Donald Trump's cruel immigration policies have created an environment of understandable fear. My commitment to you is simple. I will fight relentlessly to defend our communities from this administration's efforts to tear them apart. And I will counter their efforts to sow fear and chaos in Minneapolis with facts and evidence, not panic and confusion." As Democrats and leftist activists ramp up resistance to the Trump administration's mass deportation effort, an effort which has significant majority support in this country, agents find themselves under increasing threat. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries on Tuesday comparing ICE agents to the KGB.
This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified.
Critics of this kind of language warn it risks inflaming tensions and it undermines the safety of ICE workers, many of whom ICE bosses say have already been doxxed and seen their families threatened. President Trump's big, beautiful bill, a 1,000-plus page bill aimed at making the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent, increasing funding for immigration enforcement and border security, and reforming welfare, among other things, facing criticism from Elon Musk. On Tuesday, Musk posting to X, quote, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responding to Musk's comment in a briefing.
The president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
According to analysis by the Congressional Budget Office, the Big Beautiful Bill Act passed by the House from 2025 to 2034 would cut taxes by $3.7 trillion, cut spending by $1.3 trillion, and increase the national debt by $2.4 trillion. The Senate is currently debating the bill and is likely to make changes which could affect the final cost. A key reason the CBO projects an increase in the deficit is the decision to make the 2017 Trump tax cuts permanent. According to the CBO, doing so would likely reduce how much revenue the government collects each year, which in turn drives up the deficit unless there is significant economic growth, which is what the administration thinks will happen, or there is reduced government spending, which White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller says will also happen, writing on X, quote, "Some critics have implied the bill increases spending. Even according to the CBO, the bill cuts spending over $1.6 trillion. An updated CBO figure put it at $1.3 trillion. Of course, honestly accounted, extending current tax rates has zero deficit impact, which is why the bill, because of its spending cuts, reduces the deficit. Wednesday on the Megyn Kelly Show, Next Up host Mark Halperin weighing in, saying he expects the legislation to pass because it has to.
3 realities that were true before he spoke out are still true. The bill must pass. He can't fail. Failure's not an option, or the Trump presidency is in huge trouble. So it will pass. 2 is that there's very few Republicans in the House and the Senate who might possibly vote no. We're talking about in both bodies, maybe 20. And this Musk didn't increase the number. And so they still have to round up most of those 20. And then lastly, the bill is not perfect. They'll have to sell it as the best thing ever, but it's not perfect. Some of Musk's criticisms are true. There's other things that are wrong with the bill from a public policy point of view, but they can't make it much better. If they did what Elon said, it wouldn't pass because the votes aren't there to do what he wants to do. Because what he wants to do is interrupt the delicate balance that got it passed through the House and has it on track to pass the Senate.
The Senate is aiming to vote on the big, beautiful bill by July 4th weekend, so we have a whole month of this back and forth to look forward to. Coming up, an alleged victim of Sean Diddy Combs testifies about the day she says the mogul dangled her over a 17-story balcony. And George Clooney is lecturing us again. Stand by. I want to tell you about Lean, created by a doctor and university researcher to match the goals of GLP-1s, but without the injections. Lean says the studied ingredients in their product are shown to lower blood sugar, radically reduce appetite, and burn fat by converting it into energy. If you are struggling to lose weight, Lean might be for you. Let me share a few testimonials so you can hear about their results. A customer named Patty says that it's the first weight loss product that's actually curbed her appetite. 2 more testimonials emphasize how Lean can be a lifesaver after years of weight loss struggles. It's even helped one customer increase their energy. So consider trying it yourself if it sounds right for you. You can get started with 20% off by using code MK20 at takelean.com. That's code MK20 at takelean.com. Again, takelean.com. Results vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, and they're not a substitute for care from a healthcare provider. Another alleged victim of Sean Diddy Combs taking the stand in the disgraced mogul's criminal trial. Longtime friend of star witness Cassie Ventura and fashion designer Brianna Bongolan testifying under an immunity deal. In November 2024, Bongolan filing her own civil lawsuit against Combs, accusing him of sexual battery. She's seeking $10 million in damages. Combs has denied her allegations. On Wednesday, Bongolan attesting to not wanting to meet Combs, despite her friendship with Ventura because she had seen Ventura with a black eye before. Quote, I wasn't really fond of what I was seeing, so I wasn't really wanting to meet him. The witness testifying to a September 2016 altercation with Combs. The witness saying she was asleep at Ventura's LA apartment when she heard Combs banging on the door. Bongolan saying she moved to the balcony of the 17th floor apartment with a marijuana cigarette to appear casual. Quote, I either lit the blunt or was about to light it. He basically came up behind me. He lifted me up, then had me on top of the rail. The witness saying Combs grabbed her chest, then held her up by her armpits over the railing, yelling, quote, do you know what the F you did? Bongolan testifying that she still does not know what Combs was referring to in that moment. After about 15 seconds of dangling, the witness saying Combs then slammed her into the balcony furniture. Quote, I had a bruise on the back of my leg and back and neck pain. I have night terrors and paranoia and scream in my sleep at times. Bongolan testifying to FaceTiming with Combs a day or two after the incident. Quote, I remember saying a couple of times, I don't want any problems with you. The witness testifying to another moment earlier that year, quote, he came up really close to my face and said something around the lines of, I'm the devil and I could kill you. Bongolan telling the prosecutor she did not know why Combs would say something like that. Bongolan testifying that it was normal for Combs to show up at Ventura's apartment late at night banging on the door. Other witnesses have testified to the same. This witness recalling one of those instances when Combs threw a knife at Ventura, who threw it right back, neither one hitting the other. Bongolan saying she did not report it to police, quote, I was just scared of Puff, which is another of his nicknames. On cross-examination, the witness testifying that most of the time she spent with Ventura revolved around getting high on drugs like cocaine, ketamine, and acid. The witness saying she would regularly sell drugs to Ventura. The defense attempting to poke holes in Bongolan's recollection, suggesting she has told different versions of the I could kill you moment, saying Bongolan's attorney wrote in the first demand letter from her civil suit against Combs that the threat came while he was dangling her over the balcony. Bongolan responded those were not her words in that demand letter, rather a mistake she fired her attorney for making. The cross-examination will continue later today. George Clooney sitting down with CNN to promote his Broadway show Good Night and Good Luck, an adaptation of Clooney's 2005 movie by the same name. centering around journalist Edward R. Murrow's coverage of Senator Joseph McCarthy's anti-communist campaign. CNN will air the Broadway show live on Saturday. According to a CNN article about the Saturday broadcast, quote, "The play comes at a time when the Trump administration has launched attacks on the media, including barring the Associated Press from some of President Donald Trump's events and attempting to end federal funding for NPR and PBS." Clooney, wearing a baseball cap, obscuring the odd-looking dark brown dye job of his onstage character, waxing poetic about the parallels between the McCarthy era and today in an interview with Anderson Cooper.
Although McCarthyism was bad, it wasn't anywhere near as pervasive as it is right now, the kind of fear that you see kind of stretching through law firms and universities.
You think it's worse now than in McCarthy's time?
I do think it is worse now, although there is one caveat that kind of gets ignored when people talk about this. Overriding all of this was the threat of nuclear annihilation. Very big deal. I mean, we were pretty sure we were going to all die of a nuclear bomb somewhere along the way. So that always kind of rode on top of the McCarthyism of it all. But McCarthyism, what's fun about doing the play is it reminds people that, that we have been through difficult times, challenging times, and that we survive it as a country. And we do find our better angels along the way.
Clooney, who, when not pretending to be a journalist, has been patting himself on the back for knifing Joe Biden in July 2024 on his mental acuity, leaves out the fact that he knew of Mr. Biden's mental problems and chose to say absolutely nothing. It was not until after that June debate in which Mr. Biden could barely speak and subsequent polling showing a Democrat bloodbath that Clooney finally decided to tell the truth about Mr. Biden. Maybe that was his better angel. And that'll do it for your AM update. I'm Megyn Kelly. Join me back here for the Megyn Kelly Show, live on SiriusXM Triumph Channel 111 at noon East, on youtube.com/Megyn Kelly, and on all podcast platforms.